Alright guys, today we're going to learn about circles. So we're moving on from triangles and angles and going to learn about circumference and area of circles. Now, there's this wonderful song that I know y'all are so excited to learn. And I'm just going to play the chorus of it for you because the rest of it's pretty terrible. But it's one of those songs that I hope will help you remember your formulas. So here you go.
Sounds like area to me. When I need a circumference, I'll just use pi d. Pi r squared sounds like area to me. When I need a circumference, I'll just use pi d.
All right. You're welcome for not showing you the rest of that because it's pretty awful. I'm not gonna lie. All right, so let's move on. So what they were talking about is pi, and pi is this little symbol that I'm trying to get on your screen right now. For some reason, it's not. There we go. It's the symbol right here. This is pi. So circumference, and this is where on your notes, you need to start writing these notes down. Circumference is the distance around a circle. So it's like the perimeter of a circle, called the circumference. Okay, so it's measured in inches and centimeters, whatever. It's the circumference of it. And how you find circumference is you take the diameter, which is right here. Diameter is a line that goes through the whole circle through the center. Now the center is really important. It has to go through the center. It can't be a line up here. It can't be a line over here. It has to go straight through the center all the way across. It's called the diameter. So to find circumference, all you have to do is do diameter times pi. And pi stands for the numbers 3.14. It's actually an infinite number. There's no end to it, but this is the symbol we used for it because it is an infinite. We round it to 3.14. If you don't have the diameter, you may have what's called the radius. Now the radius is the point of the circle from the center across the circle halfway. So it's like just from the center to the end of the circle, and it can be anywhere. Okay, but it has to be from the center to the end, whereas diameter is all the way, radius is only half the way. So circumference, you could do pi times diameter, or 2 of the radius, so 2 of these, which will make a diameter, times pi. So you need to make sure that you write down all of your definitions, pause it if you need to, as well as your equations up here. Okay? So make sure you do that before you move on. So on here we're going to label these. So this is your symbol for pi. So this is pi. Now, if there's a line from the center just to the outside that only goes halfway across, what is that called? That is your radius. So the radius is little because the one that goes straight through the center, that's all the way across, is called the diameter. And then finally, circumference, the perimeter around the circle, is called the circumference. So let's check and see if we got them right. And we got them right. Go us. All right, so let's actually practice this. So we want to know the circumference of this CD. So in order to do that, we have to do, what's our little song say? It says pi r squared sounds like area, but we're not doing area. If I need circumference, I'll just use pi d. So circumference equals pi times d. So in order to find that, instead of using the symbol, we use the numbers. We plug in 3.14 times the diameter. And what's the diameter on this one? The diameter is all the way across, so that is 15. So you'll do 3.14 times 15. So pause it for a second, try it, see what you get. And you should get 47.1 inches. Make sure you put inches with it because we need to know if it's centimeters, inches, feet, whatever it is. We need to know that. So it's very simple. You always use 3.14 in place of pi, and then you put in your diameter, and you just multiply them together. Now, area of a circle can be found by multiplying pi by the square of the radius. Now, the song, pi r squared sounds like area to me. Pi times the radius squared. Not pi squared, the radius squared. So on this one, we want to find the area. And remember, area is what's inside of it. So circumference is what's around it. It's like the fence. And the green grass is the area. So what's actually can fit inside. So area equals pi r squared. So instead of the symbol, we'll put 3.14. And then we'll times it by the radius. And the radius here is 5 squared. So that's that's to the second power. Now, remember those little order of operations? This is one of those times where we'll use that. We do not multiply before we do exponents. We have to do exponents first. So 5 times 2 is not what we're doing. We are doing 5 times 5, which is 25. And then we'll do this times 3.14. So notice, you're doing a lot of multiplying. And that's what a lot of this with circles is. It's just a lot of multiplying. So do 3.14 times 25 and see what you get. I got 78 and a half, or 78.5 centimeters squared, because when we do any kind of area, it's how many square centimeters go inside of it, or how many actual squares will fit inside of your shape. Okay? That's it. That's circumference and that's area. So I want you to pause your computer, and I want you to find the area of all of these circles. And the R stands for radius and the D stands for diameter. So pause it, try it out, and then I'll show you what the answers are for all of them. Here's your answer for your green circle. That's its area. It's 12.6 centimeters squared. The answer for the yellow circle is 19.6 centimeters squared. The answer for the blue circle is 0.8 centimeters squared. And the answer for the orange circle is 7.1 centimeters squared. Now, you may have had trouble with the blue and the yellow one, but notice it's the diameter. And with area, you have to have the radius. So how do I find the radius? Well, diameter is all the way across, and radius is just half across. So all you have to do is divide your diameter by 2 to figure out what radius is. So on this one, the radius should be 2.5. So that might be why you missed that one if you did miss it. You have to make sure you have your radius when you do area. And then on this one, we divide 1 by 2, and you should get what? $1.50 is 50 cents, or 0.5. So that's what your radius is on this one. Okay? So if you need to go back and redo those, go ahead. Now let's look at these. Round your answers to the nearest 10th place. So let's just pick one to start with. So if I have a diameter of 8, what would be my radius? Well, we talked about diameter is straight across a circle. So if it's straight across, that's the whole thing. A radius is half of a diameter. So what would the radius be? Radius would be 4. Okay? So then how do I find the circumference? Well, our song is pi r squared. Sounds like area to me, so we're not finding area yet. When I need circumference, I'll just use pi d. So pi, 3.14, times d, which is 8. And you should get 25.1. They rounded it to the nearest 10th because that's what they said, centimeters. It's not squared because we are actually measuring the distance around the circle. How do you find area? Pi r squared. So 3.14 times 4 to the second power. What's 4 to the second power? Well, that's 4 times 4, which is 16. So 3.14 times 16, will give you 50.2 centimeters squared. Remember, area is squared. Let's do another one. If I have the radius is 3.5, well, I know the radius is half of the diameter. So how would I figure out the diameter? If this is just half a way across the circle, I can just do it 2 times. So what's 3.5 times 2? 7. And that's your diameter. Half of 7 is 3.5. So you can see the relationship between radius and diameter. If I want to find circumference, if I need circumference, I'll just use pi d. So 3.14 times d is 7, and you will get 21.98, which rounds to 22 centimeters. To find area, pi r squared sounds like area to me. So pi 3.14 times 3.5 as your radius squared. So 3.5 times 3.5 is 12.25. That's your r squared. We got to multiply it times pi. Pi never changes. It's 3.14. And you should get 38.5 centimeters squared. Okay, we've done several practices, but here's some more if you want to practice area. If you want to practice area again, then you can do these on your own, pause it, and then I'll show you the answers on the next slide. Here are your answers. Okay, we'll practice this in class tomorrow. Do your best. Rewatch this if you need to. Pause it when you need to. Learn your little song. Pi r squared sounds like area to me, but when I need circumference, I'll just use pi d. Your notes will be your homework that I will be checking in the morning, so make sure that you have these notes written out and bring it to class.